Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Um, Thank you for watching. So for today's video, it's kind of different. I've learned of the passing of Senator Lindsey Graham, who was 71 years old, senator from South Carolina. Uh, Kind of shocking news. It came out that it was a kind of like a heart disease, sort of. But he is bit definitely been a more prominent, more vocal uh, senator from South Carolina. He's been in office for a pretty long time, considerably, since 2002, I believe. So he's been there for a while. It's definitely going to be some big shoes to fill in for the senator from South Carolina. But we'll get into what this means for the future, the elections, and who knows what Republicans could replace him. But it is definitely sad when anybody dies. So just obviously just saying that, regardless of whether you agreed with him or you agreed with his or with his opinions about certain things, you shouldn't celebrate when people die. So I'd definitely say that it is sad to hear of that. Now that we have that talk cleared out, we can talk about really what type of Republicans could clear the field for this. And I shouldn't really even say clear the field, but who could be the next replacement, because a lot of this election is interesting because this Senate seat has been, again, held by Lindsey Graham for like almost 25 years. So he's been there for a long time. And even the senator who was before Lindsey Graham, I think Senator Thurmond, he was there for 50 years. So pretty much a lot of these people who hold on to this specific seat in South Carolina typically hold this seat for a very long time. And whoever Republican emerges in the primary, as long as they win the general election, which they really shouldn't really have a big problem winning, I think that they should obviously be in this seat for a long time, given that they don't pass away like Graham did. But even Senator Graham was in office for a long time, and he held the seat for quite some time. So whoever Republican wins this could really establish a political brand, or at least set a lot of their political career in this Senate seat, because whoever has the Senate seat really holds on to it for quite some time, as we saw with Lindsey Graham. So I'm going to be going over what candidates could be possibly replace Lindsey Graham and the upcoming Senate election in South Carolina, which will face Annie Andrews, who is the Democrat nominee. She's a doctor, so that's who the Democrats are putting up. Republicans, again, we're going to be putting up Lindsey Graham. He would be running for, I believe, his fifth term. But he's, again, been here for a while. He's typically won by around 10 to 15 points throughout his senatorial career, as you can tell. Basically, again, really pretty much a pretty red state. It's not deep red like, South Dakota, but it's also not a purple toss-up state like Pennsylvania. I'd say it's reasonably red state. He voted for Graham by 10 points. And even originally, I had Lindsey Graham winning by around 10 points originally. Now, there has been debate whether he was a strong incumbent senator. I would say he probably was. Again, he held that seat for a while, so he had strong name recognition. He was definitely more of a foreign policy hawk, so he had that kind of like a political brand. But again, you do see a lot of blue on here, but you also see a lot of red over here. A lot of these blue are low population areas with a lot of black turnout. These are a lot of high black populations, so typically they vote Democratic. That's why you see a lot of blue precincts here. But I wouldn't let that fool you. It's still a pretty red state. You still have a lot of red rural areas, and most of the population are in the rural area, in the red areas. Not to mention Horry County has a lot of Republican turnout, again, western part of the state as well. So again, I voted for Donald Trump by around 15 points. I think whoever the Republican nominee is, we'll see if they win by that much. Obviously, Henry McMaster, who is the current governor of South Carolina, Republican, will appoint a new interim senator. We'll see if that person is just temporary, if they're just finishing out Lindsey Graham's term, or they'll also become the nominee for the actual Senate election in November of this year. So really interesting to see how that'll be. I think Donald Trump will definitely have an influence on whoever the Republicans put up. But as you see, definitely some shocking news. We'll have to, again, be on the lookout for who Republicans nominate for this election. Again, I have this race again probably by around 11 to 12 point win for Republicans. I don't think it'll get any more competitive. I'm not trying to, not to upset the Democrats, but I really don't think they have a chance in South Carolina. Again, it's a pretty red state, most pretty red. Again, I'd say they have more opportunities for flipping. I think if we see a major blue wave, like D+10, I could see South Carolina being in play. But currently, I don't see it happening. I think whatever Republican is nominated will most likely win. Shouldn't have too big of a problem. Yeah, it's a pretty red state. I think Republicans will be holding the Palmetto State. So let's take a look at who are the Republican candidates that could replace Lindsey Graham. This good article from Newsweek explains who they could be. I'm not going to read too much about them because that'll take a while, but a lot of the thought of candidates are Nancy Mace, who's represented for the 1st Congressional District. She's kind of high profile as well, but she did lose pretty decisively in the primary for governor. She didn't even make it to the runoff. So she probably wouldn't win, but she is considered as one of the candidates. Ralph Norman, he could run again. He could run also. He could also be appointed. All of these candidates could be appointed or they could run. We'll have to see how that works. Again, it's kind of early, especially since we just heard of the passing of Senator Lindsey Graham. He's also another congressman, and he also is aligned with Donald Trump as well. Henry McMaster, again, he's the current governor. I don't think he appoints himself. I think he'll stay as governor. He's getting kind of old, so I think that his career is kind of winding down. But he'll definitely have a big role in who the next U.S. senator from South Carolina will end up being. Again, I don't think he ends up becoming senator. Helen Levitt is definitely a big name who could be. He's definitely floated as one of the Republicans. She's the current lieutenant governor serving under Henry McMaster, so definitely has a chance. I think even though she did lose the runoff, I do think that she also got a co-endorsement from the person that she lost to in the primary as well, which was the state attorney general. So I think that she's also conservative enough to be able to possibly get the Trump endorsement. We'll have to see. She definitely has statewide name and recognition, and she's also tied to Governor McMaster, so that definitely could play a role in that. She's probably one of the top contenders, I think, personally, going into this. Russell Fry is also another candidate that's been floated. He's also a younger congressman. I think he also has a good chance of coming out on the end. We'll see. He's definitely more aligned with the Republican base of the South Carolina GOP. We'll have to see how Fry goes. He's relatively new to the. He's kind of new to the game. He represents the northern part of the state, kind of like around here. We also have Joe Wilson. He's another U.S. representative. He served in the military. He's more well known, but we'll have to see how Joe Wilson goes. Some other low-profile names are Mark Lynch and William Timmons, and some other candidates. Also, Nikki Haley could possibly be considered. She was the former governor of South Carolina, so we'll see how that ends up going. But that's basically all of the news with South Carolina and Senator Graham passing away. Again, pretty sad, but we'll have to see how this goes. I don't think it changes a whole lot of much with the election, about how the election will play out in South Carolina. Again, I'm still keeping it a safe Republican. It could become into play, though, if Democrats have a blue wave, but we'll have to see how that ends up turning out. Again, thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you soon.